It is now on you to heal. It is not time to be a victim anymore. You've got a responsibility, not only to your family, not only to your friends, not only to your business, but to yourself.
Welcome to the Bedros Keuilian Show.
Hey friends, today I want to talk to you about fighting the war within and winning the war within. Friends, welcome to the Bedros Keuilian Show. I'm Bedros Keuilian and I've got a great show teed up for you guys today, but I want to kick it off with a crazy ass story that took place last week. So last week we had the Fit Body Bootcamp World Conference in a beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada at the Planet Hollywood Hotel. We filled up the entire ballroom with hundreds of Fit Body Bootcamp owners. And of course we had 2 days of pouring into our franchise owners who flew in from all over the world. And I like to stay at the Four Seasons in Las Vegas. So I drove to Las Vegas because I'm on planes so often since I'm out speaking and flying everywhere. I typically will drive to Las Vegas. It's like a 2.5 to 3 hour drive. And I decided to take my Ram TRX truck. Now, if you know anything about the Ram TRX, it's like a 702 horsepower truck. However, mine has had a few modifications done to it. And so it's closer to about 1,000 horsepower. And it's a beautiful black on black. A lot of customizations that I've done to it, for everything from exhaust to pulley system to new air intake, etc., tuning, etc. And wouldn't you know it, I'm at the Four Seasons. And what I typically do, just so you get a really good picture of this situation I'm about to describe, it's going to make your heart drop if you are a car fanatic like I am. But I'm at the Four Seasons and I park, if you know anything about the Las Vegas Four Seasons, it's like the last 4 floors of the Mandalay Bay. There's a separate entrance and a separate lobby and all that stuff. And when you take the elevators, it shoots you all the way to the top to the last 4 floors. And that is that. It's a very nice boutique hotel. No gambling, no slot machines, no smoking, which is why I stay there. And it's fancy, and these days I'm fancy because I'm tired of living in Section 8 housing like I did when I was a kid. So I park with valet because that's the only way you can park a car at the Four Seasons. And remember, I've been there dozens of times. When I travel, I'm always staying at Four Seasons or Ritz-Carlton's. And, I take an Uber to the Planet Hollywood to go speak. The next day, I wake up, and my plan is to head home. And sure enough, I give them the ticket. And after about 10 minutes, they can't find my truck. After 20 minutes, they're like, hey, we think we've misplaced your truck. We may have moved it around. We'll find it. About an hour later, I'm like, listen, I think you need to pull security camera footage to see what happened to my truck. Sure enough, my Ram TRX truck got stolen. Turns out vehicles like the Dodge Challenger Hellcat engines, the Red Eye, the Durango, anything with a Hemi that's supercharged like the Ram TRX, get stolen. So my truck got stolen from the Four Seasons Hotel, which was a bummer. Now, Four Seasons was kind enough to give me a rental car, a Lexus, to drive back with. But nevertheless, I've lost my truck. And I love that truck, man. I spent about $30,000 in upgrades on it. The truck cost about $106,000 off the dealership lot. And I know that Four Seasons will do me right. I know they will do me right. They're great organizations, and I know they will do me right. And a shout out to also Las Vegas PD. These guys came out with the quickness. They took the incident report. They're on top of everything. They're using license plate readers to see exactly where the truck went. I doubt that I'll get the truck back because they typically will strip out the engine, they'll strip out the transmission and part it out very quickly. But it's not lost on me that this also may have been some form of karma from years ago during my heydays of jacking people for their cars back in my late teens and early 20s. So anyways, crazy ass story. But if you've never seen the Ram TRX truck, you ought to go check it out. It's a beautiful truck. So I'll be picking another one up. In the meantime, I'm cruising around in the old GTR, which is a fucking bullet. All right, let's talk about the war within. By the way, speaking of the war within, listen, if the war within is raging within you, and people go, what do you mean by the war within? I'm like, look, everyone is fighting a battle within. That's the bottom line. Everyone's fighting a mental, emotional, financial, relational battle that no one knows anything about. So for one, I think we ought to go around showing a lot more grace and humanity and compassion towards each other. You know, someone cuts you off and they give you the middle finger, or someone honks at you, or maybe someone's rude to you at a store or something, and you're like, man, what the hell, right? Like, why are you being a jerk? Like, we don't know what's going on in another person's life. We don't know what battles and wars they're fighting, but I want to make sure that you are equipped to not only fight, but also win the war within. And the war within shows up in many ways, man. The war within shows up maybe in your relationship, right? Maybe you are not as connected to your spouse as you would like to be because you're afraid of experiencing love in all its grandioseness. Maybe you don't feel lovable. You don't feel worthy of getting love. And I'll touch on what are the things that cause these issues in your life and how you can fix them as well. That's how you win the war within. Or maybe it's financial. Maybe every time you start getting financially ahead in life, you do something stupid to sabotage yourself, or something happens where all of a sudden you're going back to broke again. And you're like, man, I can't figure it out. How come I can't be right side up financially? Like, what is going on? Or maybe it's in your health and fitness. You know, you're trying to get lean and jacked. You're trying to get rid of those gelatinous titties that I could milk. And what ends up happening is, as you've 10 or 15 pounds away from your goals, boom, you start gaining the weight back and you somehow sabotage yourself. And you were this close, but you didn't make it. And it could be in business, or it could be in relationships, it could be in mindset, whatever it is. We're all fighting wars within. And our job, I believe, as humans on this planet, before we can go out and serve other people and make other people's life more enriched, we have to first serve and heal ourselves, right? And oftentimes you don't want to do that because it's painful, right? It's painful. And if you are new to this channel, and since our channel and show is growing so quickly, it's worth me sharing this. As much as I hate talking about this because it ends up haunting me the next day or two, I think it's worth sharing this. But when I was a kid, between the ages of 4 and 6, I was molested by 2 older boys in Armenia, right? Armenia was a part of the Soviet Union. And in 1980, when I was 6 years old, my family and I escaped the Soviet Union and came here to the United States. And what my parents don't realize is us escaping and coming here to the United States didn't just create an opportunity for me to have a good life and to have freedom and to be able to become this entrepreneur that's built, multiple companies and sold some of them and continues to scale others. In addition to that, my parents really saved me from constant molestation by 2 older boys. Now, my parents never knew that I was being molested, and it's something I never shared. Those 2 older boys told me that if I ever shared that with anyone, that I'd get in trouble and it'd be very bad for me. And so I kept my mouth shut as a young boy. But that scarred me, man. That created a lot of trauma. And it wasn't until I was 38 years old, 10 years ago, right? 12 years ago, that I ended up having this massive panic attack and finally healing and dealing with what had happened to me as a kid. And typically, whether it's trauma that is caused by physical abuse, mental abuse, sexual abuse, wherever the abuse came from, right? Maybe your parents meant to do well in raising you, but they just didn't tell you, I love you. Maybe dad didn't tell you, I love you, or I'm proud of you. Maybe mom wasn't as physically loving and caring for you. Maybe she just thought as long as you have food and water and a roof over your head, you're good to go. Whatever the reason is, maybe they were hurt, and therefore hurt people. They did the best they could. But how long are you going to walk around carrying this pain, this trauma, and holding yourself out as a victim and never experiencing life in its full capacity, right? Because of what trauma you experienced, you may now be walking around not allowing people in, not trusting people, not letting people show you love, grace, compassion, acceptability, right? In fact, you don't probably feel worthy. That's exactly how I felt. And when you're feeling that way in a relationship, when you're feeling that way with your family, you always feel like you're just kind of hovering on the outskirts of a relationship instead of being fully connected to the people who love you. And it's a very sad and unfortunate thing. And this shows up in business as well. And when you have dealt with money issues, or you've been told that you're not good enough, you're broken, you were maybe beat, or you were emotionally and verbally abused, you feel a lack of worth. And therefore, when you try and increase your income, you try and put yourself in a place of becoming more successful for yourself and your family. What do? You start hitting that upper limit, right? Gay Hendricks in his book, The Big Leap, calls it the glass ceiling, where you start hitting that upper limit that you're uncomfortable with because it's a new place in life that you haven't been. Maybe it's a new place of love, a new place of happiness, a new place of financial security. And you're like, man, this is uncomfortable. I don't know if I belong here. And then you begin to self-sabotage yourself to get to a place that's far lesser, not because you're doing it intentionally. All of this happens subconsciously. You end up eroding your relationships, your business, your money, your mindset, your health, all as a byproduct, right? And the reason I want to share this with you is because there is this constant war within us when we haven't healed from the trauma. And I don't know what the trauma is in your life. I don't know what the abuse was in your life, but I do know that you could either keep pointing to it and say that I'm a victim and this is why I'm broke. This is why I keep screwing up relationships. This is why I'm fat. This is why I'm dumb. This is why I've got ADD, OCD, depression, anxiety, or my friend, you can start doing something about it. Hey guys, quick interruption to the show. Let me tell you all about the Keuilian Wellness Shot. If you're like me and you care about your health, hydration, and building a strong immune system so you can stay active and you can get after it in life, then you want to try the Keuilian Wellness Shot. I used to take 11 different supplements in the morning, things like vitamin C, vitamin D, vitamin B12, echinacea, ginger, and a whole bunch more. Now it's all included in the Keuilian Wellness Shot. I want to send you a 30-day supply for 50% off. Just go to Keuilian.com. Use the code word Bedros, my name, to get 50% off. You'll also get free shipping. You get a 30-day unconditional money-back guarantee, and $1 of every order goes to Shriners Children's Hospital. And when you use the code word Bedros and do the subscribe and save, which is a Keuilian Tribe program, every month you'll get a fresh supply of Keuilian Wellness Shots for an additional 20% off and free shipping, and $1 of every monthly order will go to Shriners Children's Hospital. So go to Keuilian.com, use code word Bedros, and take advantage of this amazing offer. Now back to the show. And if you want to do something about it, then you're on the right channel right now. This is what we're going to talk about here. And you may have heard me talk about this before. We've got a internal critic and we've got a internal advocate, right? Now with the project, we call the internal critic our bitch voice. We've got this bitch voice within us that is always telling us that you're not good enough, you are not capable, that people are going to find out that you're a fraud, a phony, a hypocrite, an imposter. And all of a sudden you start taking less effort in the areas of your life that you truly want to succeed in, right? You're putting yourself into debt. You're making yourself fatter and unhealthier. You are disconnected from your family and your loved ones, and you feel alone, you feel depressed, you feel anxious. And what do we typically do when that critic starts getting very loud in our ear? Well, if you're not going to heal, you're going to do the next thing that makes sense, which is to escape from it, to avoid and escape from the pain that you're experiencing. That pain that you're experiencing, by the way, is your conscience, right? Like anxiety, depression, sadness, loneliness, that is typically your conscience. And I'm going to go into that just a little bit more in a minute. But you have to understand, when you try and escape and avoid the pain that you're feeling, you typically start doing what? Over drinking, over smoking weed, vaping, pornography, right? Gambling, a lot of time wasted on social media, screen sucking, video games, binge watching television and sports on weekends as though you own the fucking sports team. You don't even own the fucking sports team, yet you're watching sports as though it's somehow like you're supposed to be on the sidelines because you own the team. You don't. The team that you own is your family. The team that you own is your body and mindset. The team that you own is your business. But you don't want to pour into that because you don't feel deserving. You don't feel that you're worthy of it. Instead, you'd rather consume all of these vices that are going to numb you, that are going to distract you, and that are going to help you escape the realities of the lack of healing that you've yet to do. And here's what happens next. You keep finding yourself having to use more weed, more alcohol, more food, more television, more pornography, more of whatever the vice is to keep stifling this pain that you're feeling. When in reality, the answer is to heal, right? The answer is to heal. Now, I was telling you about the conscience, and I was like, hey, when you're feeling depressed, you're feeling sad, you're feeling anxious, it's your conscience. And the best way I can describe that is this. Now, if you believe in God or a creator or the universe, then you know that God lives within us, right? We are all universally connected. And if we're all universally connected, that means we are connected to consciousness, to God, to our creator. And our consciousness has a mechanism called the conscience, your inner conscience. The pure, undeniable voice of truth within you is your conscience that always knows what's right and wrong, that always knows what you should be doing and what you should be avoiding. However, you and I, when we are not healed and we still feel unworthy, unlovable, we are still impulsive, we are stuck in a place of self-sabotage, we override our conscience and we end up doing stupid shit to avoid the pain by avoidance, by excessively eating, drinking, like I said, watching television, sports, etc., smoking weed, you name it. And what does that end up doing to you? Well, typically what it does, it creates a temporary escape, but afterwards, it ends up magnifying the pain that you're experiencing, which then forces you to go back into more escape, more avoidance through taking more vices, right? And therein lies the self-fulfilling process of this. But your conscience is really trying to tell you like, hey man, the reason you're feeling sad, anxious, and depressed is simply because I'm trying to get your attention. Like imagine if you and I were friends, right? And I'm squared away in life and you're not. Better yet, let's turn the tables. Let's say you and I are best friends and I'm not squared away at all. And you are absolutely squared away. That I'm drinking every night to go to sleep and I wake up every morning and I'm pounding energy drinks and I'm always screen sucking instead of focusing on my work and I'm just on the verge of getting fired, or maybe I'm in that state where I just don't feel like my relationship is worth holding together anymore. Whatever the thing is, I'm a walking fucking disaster. And you, my friend, are squared away. You got your finances, your faith, your fitness, your relationship, everything squared away. And you're like, damn, Bedros, I really give a shit about you. I'm like, what do you mean? You're like, well, look, dude, you are like ruining your life. You're sabotaging yourself. You're destroying everything good that you have and you're putting yourself in debt and you're getting fatter and you're getting more sick and your relationships are falling apart. And you're having this like deep conversation with me and I'm like, no, man, I'm fine. You're like, no, you're not. You grab me by the shoulders and you shake me and you're like, Bedros, I fucking love you. And you're shaking me and you might even go bap, 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 slap me around a few times, right? To try and talk some fucking sense into me. Guess what? That is what your creator is trying to do to you. When you're experiencing anxiety, depression, loneliness, sadness, it is your conscience, the voice of creator, the undeniable voice of truth, literally grabbing you by the shoulders and shaking you and slapping you around and saying, look, this thing you're feeling that is so uncomfortable, you could either do something about it because you know the undeniable truth of what you need to do. You gotta start healing. I gotta start exercising. I gotta get some sunlight. I gotta start hanging out with friends who are valuable and who are not repeating the self-destructive patterns that I am. I gotta start managing my money. I gotta start getting some coaching and mentoring. I've got to maybe get myself into AA or some kind of, food addiction, right? Classes, or get a therapist. I got to start reading books. I got to do something to start healing. I got to start working towards an outcome that does not involve over drinking, over smoking, oversleeping, all of those things that you're trying to use to escape the anxiety, depression, sadness, loneliness are all temporary fixes that come with greater amounts of pain. You understand that, right? These are all temporary fixes that come with greater amounts of pain. And so each time that you are smoking more, drinking more, you are sucking on the teats of social media as though you're Mark fucking Zuckerberg and you get paid to be on social media. You don't. All you're seeing is the highlight reel of a whole bunch of people that are living shitty lives, but they're putting their best foot forward and faking a great life, because the rest of us who are actually having an awesome fucking life, we ain't spending all day on social media. You want to know what I do on social media? I'm a creator, not a consumer. I create content and I bounce, right? I create content that adds value, that enriches your life. I create content that hopefully will drive leads into my businesses. I will create content that helps you have these aha moments. Like, this is me creating free content for you, right? But I'm not then gonna go on social media, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and start scrolling for hours, getting these variable dopamine hits of watching someone shaking their ass or a cat jumping off of a fucking bridge or whatever stupid shit you might be watching. Because you end up wasting so much time looking for cheap hits of dopamine through alcohol, social media, television, food, weed, pornography. But each time you do this, the pain will compound. And that is conscience and your consciousness telling you, like, dude, get your shit together. If you don't, you're going to lose it all. And it's sad because most of you are waiting to hit rock bottom before you do something, as though there's something virtuous about hitting rock bottom. There's nothing glorious or virtuous about hitting rock bottom. Like, if you are on a boat and you jump off the boat and I see that you're starting to panic and freak out, I'm like, hey man, I'm gonna throw you this life preserver because you're in the ocean and you're starting to panic. And you're like, no, I don't need the life preserver. I think I got it. I think I can save my life. Do you really want to wait until you're now being towed underwater? You're about to drown before finally making an attempt to grab the life preserver? Or the moment you realize that, I'm unable to get out of this water. I'm stuck in the current. I need some help. Hey friend, will you send me that life preserver? Yes, here it is. Grab that fucking life preserver. If you were drowning and I were to send you that life preserver, wouldn't you grab it? Most of you right now who are like, holy fuck, he's speaking to me. This is a life preserver coming at you. Your conscience telling you through anxiety, depression, loneliness, sadness, and making you want to take all these addictions and vices. Instead, start the healing process. Get a therapist. Start working out consistently. Drink water instead of energy drinks. Back to back to back, right? Cut the sugars out of your diet. Cut the high amounts of carbs out of your diet. Cut the high amounts of fat out of your diet. Eat more greens and proteins, right? Start hanging out with a network of people who are actually good for you, who can add value to your life, instead of the ones who perpetuate being a deadbeat shit bag, right? And when you start doing these things, this is how you pull yourself out of the depths of despair. And all of a sudden, you're like, holy shit, instead of alcohol or food or weed or pornography as a dopamine hit, I can work out and get a dopamine hit. I can go on a hike outdoors and get some sun and get a dopamine hit. I can start creating a business that starts generating some side income and get a dopamine hit. I can start actually hanging out with people who have meaningful, deep conversations about things that actually truly matter, instead of gossiping about bullshit and constantly triggering your fears and doubts and uncertainties and your emotions, right? Think about the people that you're hanging out with. Think about the thoughts that are occupying your mind. All of these things are either going to lead you towards more anxiety, depression, sadness, or they're going to lead you to healing, to growth, to becoming a better father, a husband, a mother, a friend, an entrepreneur, a leader. Like finally having the body that you want, having the fucking abs, having the fucking guns, being a walking, talking example of great humanity. Isn't that something that you want out of life? I know it is. And every time that you start leaning into these vices and that you ignore your conscience when it's trying to shake you awake, what you're doing is you're feeding the inner critic. And that inner critic keeps telling you that you're unworthy, you're not capable, you don't know how, you're going to fail, everyone's going to laugh at you. Instead, you've got an advocate within you as well. And that advocate's like, bro, I believe in you. I think you're a fucking stud. I think you have everything that it takes to win in life. I think you can be a great father. You can be a great husband. I think you can be a great friend. You can be a great entrepreneur, a leader. You can be in awesome shape. And you're like, nah, you stay duct taped, bound and gagged in my trunk. I'm going to listen to the critic here who's riding shotgun in the front seat. Like, how stupid is that, right? Think about that. And so if we know that inside of us, there's an inner advocate and an inner critic, then doesn't it make sense that you start starving the inner critic and start feeding the advocate? And that's really the point of this episode here. Wherever your trauma came from, I don't care if you were physically, mentally, emotionally, verbally, or sexually abused, it is now on you to heal. It is not time to be a victim anymore. You've got a responsibility, not only to your family, not only to your friends, not only to your business, but to yourself. And you're like, well, I don't have a family. I don't have friends. I don't have a business. Well, guess what? Someone probably looks at you as either a cautionary tale of how not to be in life or an example of how to be. And I don't know who that someone is. It could be maybe you're someone's aunt or uncle, right? It could be your parents who are just heartbroken that you're struggling, that you're suffering, that you're addicted, that you're sad, that you're depressed, that you're always anxious. And the solution is to starve the critic by taking away the vices and then to feed the advocate within by training hard consistently, getting sun every day and walking, getting your water in, drink a gallon of water, eat clean, feed your body, figure out your macros, figure out a way to create some side income, start serving others, go to like a homeless shelter and start once a week, start feeding the homeless, go and adopt a young man or a young girl and be like an adopted big brother, big sister. Do something to serve humanity instead of selfishly self-destructing. And that is a big lesson I want to leave you here today. You think you're only hurting yourself, you're not. When you are selfishly self-destructing, and it is the most selfish thing you can do. And the most selfish thing we do in life is that we self-destruct thinking we're not hurting anyone else but us, but really your parents, your siblings, your spouse, your kids, your friends, your business partners, your customers, the people around you, they see what's happening. And don't think for a moment you're hiding this. Everyone can see that you're suffering, that there's a war within. Most people are afraid to approach you and say, hey man, I see that you're suffering. I see that you're struggling. I want to help you. That's the unfortunate part, is most people aren't willing to take that step forward and want to help you. And here I am telling you, asking you, will you help yourself? And if you're looking to help yourself, start with the things that I listed. The consistent workout every single day, going out and getting 2, 3, 4 miles of walking or hiking in, every other day. Get some sun on your body. Start distancing yourself from the negative people in your life who are perpetuating all the vices, right? And start literally eating cleaner, drinking more water, and chipping away at social media, at binge watching television, and use that time more productively to actually add a secondary income stream to your life. When you do these things and you start stacking these little wins in life, you stop sleeping in, but instead you get up early and you have a constructive morning routine where maybe you journal your thoughts. Maybe you read 5, 6, 7 pages, 10 pages out of a book. Maybe you go and you do what I do, where you send out 3 gratitude text messages to 3 people randomly in your life who have done good to you, right? There's so many ways that you can cope with life better. And who knows, maybe eventually you'll do what I did, which is you'll end up working with a therapist who can help you heal, who can help you understand what happened to you was not your fault, who can teach you how to love yourself again, how to honor yourself again, because your capacity to love and honor others is determined by your capacity to love and honor yourself. Like, I love myself so fucking much. And it is for that reason that I could love the people in my life. My capacity to love you, my capacity to love my team, my capacity to love my family is all determined by my capacity to love and honor myself. You get that, right? And if I don't, and I can't, and I'm constantly anxious, depressed, sad, lonely, and dependent on vices and addictions to get me through the day, what a horrible way to live. You're just white knuckling through life, fighting this war within by yourself and trying to put on a mask to others, this false smile, telling others that you're okay when you're really not. What if you were to ask for help? What if you started reading books that can actually enrich your life? And what if you actually work with a good therapist who can literally help you understand what happened to you was not your fault and how to forgive and move on and live the life that you are meant to live, a life of great money, great meaning, and a high level of self-mastery. Guys, I want to see you at Bedros Keuilian Live September 13th and 14th in beautiful Scottsdale, Arizona. That's in 3 weeks. It's 2 days of high-level coaching and teaching from me and 14 others who are dedicated to teaching you how to make more money, have more meaning and purpose in your life, and higher levels of self-development and mastery. Money, meaning, and self-mastery. And the reason I started hosting Bedros Keuilian Live is because I see so many events out there, seminars that are all designed to make you feel good, but they don't give you anything tactical to go out and do to make more money, have more meaning, and have a higher level of self-mastery. So I've committed to making BK Live an event that is tactically sound, where you get actual blueprints to make more money, to create a side income, to scale your business faster, to have more meaning, significance, purpose, to how to heal from all the shit that life has thrown to you, right? I created BK Live because I wanted to create an opportunity for the people who listen to my podcast, watch me on my YouTube show, follow me on social media, to come together and elevate together. So I want you to join me. The description is the link is in the description box down below. I'll also pin it in the first comment on YouTube. And I really hope that you come out and get the same benefits and value that everyone else did last year at the sold out BK Live. So with that said, I want to wrap this episode up, let you know that I love you. I care for you. I can't wait to see you become the one, go from that 1.0 version of yourself to the 2.0 version of yourself. And that happens when you focus on self-mastery. Guys, remember this, that average is the enemy, that success is your responsibility, and change can take place in an instant if you are willing to flip the switch. I'll see you next time.